Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachaughari Yamunatira Vanachaughari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradha Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradha Hari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachaughari Yamunatira Vanachaughari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe Jaya Radha Raspi Hari Radha Raspi Hari Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Nitai Gaura Haribol 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Vishwapad Paramahamsa Parivrajacacharya Ashtotar Sattva Shishavachila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Om Vishwapad Paramahamsa Parivrajacacharya Ashtotar Sattva Shishavachila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda ki Śrī Rūp Śrī Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Ji Jeev Gopal Tadasya Raghunath Sari Goswami Prabhu ki Prem se Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Shivajari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Śrī Radha Krishna Go Gopal Gopi Gopinatham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki Śrī Vrindavan Dham ki Śrī Mathura Dham ki Śrī Mayapura Dham ki Śrī Jagannathpuri Dham ki तुलसी महारानी भक्ति देवी की गंगा मणि देवी की हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की श्री श्री गौनिताय की श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की श्री श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर की गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल समवेत भक्त वृंद की All glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to Śrī Guru and Śrī Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Reading from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, 18th chapter, text number 4. Niścayam śṛṇu me tatra tyāge bharata-sattama tyāgo hi puruṣa-vyāghra tri-vidhaḥ samprakīrtitaḥ niścayam śṛṇu me tatra tyāge bharata-sat-tama tyāgo hi puruṣa-vyāghra tri-vidhaḥ samprakīrtitaḥ niścayam śṛṇu me tatra tyāge bharata-sat-tama tyāgo hi puruṣa-vyāghra tri-vidhaḥ samprakīrtitaḥ niścayam śṛṇu me tatra tyāgo hi puruṣa-vyāghra
Niścayam śṛṇu me tatra
niścayam śṛṇu me tatra tyāge bharata-sat-tama tyāgo hi puruṣa-vyāghra tri-vidhaḥ samprakīrtitaḥ niścayam śṛṇu me tatra tyāge bharata-sat-tama tyāgo hi puruṣa-vyāghra tri-vidhaḥ samprakīrtitaḥ. Mataji? Niścayam śṛṇu me tatra tyāge bharata-sat-tama tyāgo hi puruṣa-vyāghra tri-vidhaḥ samprakīrtitaḥ. Niścayam, certainty. śṛṇu, hear. me, from me, tatra, therein, tyāge, in the matter of renunciation, bharata-sat-tama, O best of the Bharatas, tyāga, renunciation, he certainly, puruṣa-vyāghra, or tiger among human beings, tri-vidhaḥ, of three kinds, samprakīrtitaḥ, is declared. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation, O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds. Purport. Although there are differences of opinion about renunciation, here the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Śrī Kṛṣṇa, gives his judgment which should be taken as final. After all, the Vedas are different laws given by the Lord. Here the Lord is personally present and his word should be taken as final. The Lord says that the process of renunciation should be considered in terms of the modes of material nature in which they are performed. Om Gyanat Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmritam Yanam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadama Yam Darati Saparantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yotapada Kamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabano Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Datta Kanchana Gaura Angi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Prijabano Sade Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here in this 18th chapter, Arjuna is asking Krishna, trying to understand the purpose of renunciation and of the renounced order of life. Krishna is replying that giving up activities based on material desire, is what the great sages are saying, is a renounced order of life. And giving up results of activities, that is called as renunciation. So sannyas and tyāge. And the next verse, that some say that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty, whereas others are saying that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be abandoned. Yajna, dana, tapa. So here in this verse, Krishna is explaining about renunciation And he's explaining that there are three kinds of renunciation. So according to the modes of material nature. So in the next verses he will explain about different kinds of renunciation. But again in tomorrow's verse actually, he's again explaining as in yesterday's verse, yagya dana tapa. They should always be performed. And explaining that even great souls, they are purified. And we can see that great souls, even though they may already be perfect, but in this world, they will also act for the benefit, or they will act to set the example of for the common man, as explained in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tat evetara janasa yad paramam kurute lokastat anuvartate. So whatever great person are doing, then the common man will follow. And whatever standard they set, the whole world will pursue. So, yagya, dana and tapa, that has to be performed. And so different kinds of yagyas are there. And again, dana and tapa, these activities, they may be performed by different persons who may have different objectives. Again, those in the mode of goodness, those in the mode of passion, and those in the mode of ignorance. Those in the mode of goodness, they will do everything ultimately for the pleasure of the Lord. They will do for purification. They will do for their own purification. And they will do also for the benefit of others. And those in the mode of passion, they will do these activities, yagya, dana, tapa, ultimately for their own benefit. So they may gain something in this material world. So they may be more prosperous, they may live happily, healthy and wealthy. And so usually they think about themselves, or they may think about their immediate family members, or if they think a little more about the community, but they will do that in order to be recognized. I will do something, but then I should be recognized also by others. So that is in a mode of passion, on the material platform. And then those in a mode of ignorance, they may do these activities also, yagya, dana and tapa, but actually they do not know exactly how to do that, how to properly, or to whom to give in charity. And they will do tapasya also sometimes, and they will harm themselves, or they may harm others also. In spiritual life it is important that one should take guidance from those who are more advanced, those who are close to Krishna, the representatives of Krishna. Krishna explains in the 4th chapter, tadvidi paripatena pai prashna sevaya upatikshiti de gyanam gyaninas tattva darshinaha. That, oh my dear Arjuna, Krishna is saying that you should approach somebody who is tattva darshinaha, somebody who has tattva darshina, who has realization, or who may see the Supreme Lord, param tattva, param satya. So a pure devotee. And one should also, then he is showing, or it is explaining how one should approach that person. Tadvinipaya patanipaya prashna sevaya, in a mood of service and in a humble mood and inquiring about the absolute truth, how to make advancement in spiritual life. So in a humble way. And then, so the spiritual master, the representative of the Lord, the advanced devotee, he will guide and he will give his blessings, his good wishes, so that the person inquiring may benefit and may advance in his spiritual life. So even in regards to yajna, so yajna has to be performed. So that is under the guidance of an experienced person. Here again, different yajnas are there. One is yajna fire sacrifice, which has to be performed sometimes. Of course, previously, the Brahmanas especially, they were doing yajna every day, nitya homa, every day as part of their morning sadhana practices, spiritual practices, and of worshipping the Lord. And then as an offering unto the Lord, doing a small fire sacrifice. And then other kind of yajna is, which is in the age of Kali, which is recommended, that is the Sankirtan yajna, Nama yajna, chanting the holy names of the Lord, either individually or collectively. So Sankirtan, that means congregational chanting of the holy names, but also Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada explained samyak rupena kirtan. This is Sankirtan, being completely absorbed and focused in chanting the holy names. So controlling the mind and the senses. And that is ultimately in the age of Kali, that is the most important yajna. That is the chanting of the holy names. Nama yajna, mahayajna, Kali kalmasanatanam, nashanam, Śrī Kṛṣṇa chaitanya prityate, nama yajna samarpanam. So this nama yajna, chanting the holy names, is also known as mahayajna. And this will destroy the anarthas, the kalmash, the dirty things in our heart, the unwanted things. And we should do that, Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Priti Artam, with the purpose of satisfying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a Kali Yuga avatar, no different from Radha and Krishna. So in this way we perform the yajna for his pleasure, for our purification, but then also, again there, for the benefit of others, that is in the mode of goodness, that is a Vaishnava, is in the mode of goodness. Even then the Vaishnava becomes transcendental by engaging in spiritual activities. So for the pleasure of the Lord, one is chanting the holy names, for purification, and then also trying to give the holy names to others, or even with the consciousness, so trying to see that I'm chanting the holy names, and then may I also help others by my chanting of the holy names. He may then think also about his relatives, or even he will think about the welfare of all the jivas in this world. And so yajna also means sacrifice. That may be any activity in this world, but ultimately for the pleasure of the Lord. Sacrifice, different kinds of sacrifices are there, which one has to do in life in order to come to the spiritual position, in order to understand our transcendental nature. And that is the first thing Krishna is explaining to Arjun that why in the beginning of the second chapter, why you're lamenting for all these relatives or even the Gurujan, even the superiors, because they are on the path of adharma. They are together with Duryodhana. So he's not righteous person. So you should do your duty of fighting and don't be attached to anything of this world. And you should try to understand that you are not this body, you are spirit soul. That is the first thing to try to understand in life, in spiritual life. And the human form of life is meant for self-realization. We have to realize our real self as spirit soul, as the eternal servant of Krishna, Jivara Sopoy Krishnera Nityadas. That is the purpose of life, to understand that. And so for that one has to perform some sacrifice, but especially chanting the holy names. And so dana may be there also to give donation. And again there, so one gives donation to the Lord, to the Vaishnavas, to those who are in need. And one will give that with a happy heart, so to say. To please the Lord, to please the Vaishnavas. And not expecting anything in return. That is done, giving in charity. And maybe different kind of charity. One is, of course, again, giving the holy names to others. That may also be seen as charity. And then giving knowledge or giving books to others, because knowledge is there. In spiritual books like Bhagavad-Gita, Śrīmad Bhagavatam. And then also one may give to the deities some donation, monetary, or one may give grains, one may give gold for the pleasure of the Lord. And so acknowledging that everything actually belongs to the Supreme Lord, and that somehow, so if I have something, so it is my duty to give something to Krishna, because ultimately, as a kind of reciprocation, that I'm able to get whatever I need, so I should give something to the Supreme Lord, to whom actually everything belongs. And similarly to the great saintly persons, one should give something. Specifically also it is mentioned, if one is going to a holy place, one is going to a temple, then one must give charity. That is also explained in the Nectar of Devotion as a regulative principle of devotional service. If one is going to a holy place, one is going to the temple, one should give something to the Lord. And that will so purify one, and that will help one, because ultimately we are there, we are the eternal servants of Krishna, and we have to surrender ourselves. Means as soul, I'm surrendering to you, Krishna. Whatever I have, I will offer to you. My wealth, my consciousness, my body, everything I will offer to you. Atma samarpanam, atma nivedanam. So different limbs of devotional service, that is also explained in Navavida Bhakti. The hearing and chanting is there, remembering the Lord, serving the Lotus feet, serving the deities, offering prayers, and thus I'm in the mood of I'm your servant, Krishna. And then a little further also understanding that we have an intimate relationship with Krishna. Sakyam. So we are a servant of Krishna means we have to serve Krishna. And then Atmani Vedanam completely means our consciousness, not just theoretically, okay, I'm the servant of Krishna but then not doing much. But no, we should try to always think about Krishna and how to serve Krishna, how to serve Krishna as a representative. So in our consciousness, so full surrender, and again that is mentioned sannyas. So the sannyas in Gaudiya Vaishnav or in Vaishnav society, they have three dandas, three danda. And then a small danda is there known as jiva danda. If you see sannyasis, we have seen some ceremonies now of accepting sannyas of brahmacharis. So the jiva danda is there, the small one, showing that we are spirit soul and we are surrendering to Krishna. And the three dandas, these are actually referring to the body, the mind and the words. So one is surrendering that to Krishna and giving up all desires or all activities for sense pleasure, for our own pleasure, but surrendering everything to Krishna. So that is sannyas. So one's activities are completely dedicated to Krishna. And then, of course, tyāge, renunciation, giving up the desire to gain something from our activities. So that is transcendental situation, that is in the mode of goodness. Everything surrendering to Krishna. Body, mind and words, and then whatever one has also, not just the body, but other things that has to be used in Krishna seva. So ultimately, so beyond the modes of material nature, so that transcendental situation is there. But in the beginning, so at least one should try to be in the mode of goodness and should know what is yagya in goodness, giving charity or doing austerity in the mode of goodness. But then we have to transcend that also and come to the spiritual platform and do everything for Krishna's pleasure. And that is ultimately the purpose of life. And then if one is fully absorbed in Krishna, then automatically one is renounced. And even though one may be a householder, but if everything is engaged in Krishna seva, then one is as good as a sannyasi. Our Purport used to say also, when he sent his devotees for preaching, the grihastas, when he started a movement in America, and then after some time he sent some devotees to England and they are fully dedicated to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada used to say, these householders, they are as good as sannyasis, because they are completely dedicated. And also Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was a householder, he had 10 children, but he was fully dedicated to the service of the Lord. Therefore he was known as Saptam Goswami, after the 6 Goswamis, who were really in the renounced order, externally also, internally and externally. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was internally renounced, but externally he was still householder. But he was fully dedicated. And he wrote so many transcendental literatures. So then there's no difference. If one is a householder and is fully engaged, then he's properly situated. And then he may realize his transcendental identity and relationship with Krishna, which is ultimately the goal of life. Atmak sakshakar, direct experience of the self, and then direct experience of Krishna will be there in full surrender So that is for anyone who is fully dedicated, this is possible. But it will take some time to come to the highest stage. So it is a gradual process of purification. Of course, first the dedication must be there, trying to be completely surrendered to Krishna. And then the process of purification is there, and then ultimately one will be successful. Ultimately, if one is completely free from material desires, then one may be seen as being self-surrendered, fully surrendered. Otherwise it is partial surrender. If one is not pure. So we should try our best to become fully surrendered with body, mind, words, consciousness, ourselves. Always in the mood that I am the eternal servant of Krishna. And then practically always being engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. So that is the transcendental position. But for this one has to be situated in the mode of goodness. And then one may come to the transcendental stage. And so Krishna is explaining to Arjuna for the practicing devotee and for the ordinary man, so they may understand what to do and what not to do. So knowledge has to be acquired. One has to have proper knowledge, and then one can properly execute devotional service. Then one will know what to do and what not to do. And then ultimately one will attain perfection. So Krishna mercifully instructed Arjuna, and which is ultimately for our benefit. And so then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Radha Krishna. So he personally also showed how to perform devotional service in the age of Kali by chanting the holy names, and then also, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended the different limbs of devotional service, and he instructed his followers to give this knowledge, and then also practical application, how to practically do that under the guidance of the spiritual master. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, so he taught the devotees who approached him, and then he told them that now so you practice, and then you instruct others also. So one will hear in the association of the advanced devotees, one will practice, and then one may give the knowledge also to others. And so Rupa Goswami explained about the 64 limbs of devotional service, and the first is Guru Pada Ashray, taking shelter with the spiritual master, the representative of the Lord, of Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And then so in the age of Kali, so the most important limb of devotional service is chanting of the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But then one has to remain in the association of the devotees, especially under the guidance of those who are more advanced. And then one has to hear on a daily basis about the Supreme Lord, about Mahaprabhu and Krishna and their wonderful pastimes, about the process of devotional service, how to gradually advance. And so always dedicated to Krishna, to especially the beginning to Krishna in the temple. And by worshipping the deity in the temple, then one can perceive Krishna. and one can have a relationship with Krishna, and then one can advance slowly but surely. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes.
To advance in spiritual life, which are and how the penances to be performed by grihasthas?
So in order to advance in spiritual life, which are the penances and for the grihasthas, and so on, how to practically do it. So that is also again mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, what we should do in regards to also performing some austerity, and that Prabhupada has explained also. Like for example, on Ekadashi, one should not take any grains, and one should decrease one's eating and sleeping, and one should increase one's spiritual activities. So therefore, and that Mahaprabhu himself, he instructed his devotees, his mother first of all, and then the general devotees also, to observe Ekadashi Vrat. So that is one kind of austerity which everyone has to follow. And then also Mahaprabhu, he explained about Chaturmas Vrat. And then Prabhupada also explained we have to follow Chaturmas at least to the minimum, which is no taking in the first month, no spinach, and then second no yogurt, and no milk in the third, and no urad dal in the fourth month. So that is actually the minimum. But Mahaprabhu, he mentioned more, and then also Sanatana Goswami explained that in his book Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is also a guiding book for the Vaishnavas, how to act according to Vana Ashram. And there he has explained about Chaturmas, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, spiritual master, he gave some more things which we should avoid. And basically then also increase one's spiritual activities. So austerity has to be there, some tapasya has to be there, but even more important than that is actually the actual performance of devotional service, engaging in spiritual activities. That is more important than doing austerity. But doing austerity is helpful if you perform Ekadashi, Chaturmas, and even in the Nectar of Devotion, and Prabhupada has explained about Kartik Vrat, Niyam Seva, Urja Vrat. So doing some extra austerity during the month of Kartik. But there again, one more activity to be done, that is deep done every day, offering a ghee lamp to the Lord. And then chanting Damodara Ashtakam, so engaging more in devotional activities. But then some austerity should be there also, some more austerity, because we know we have to do some austerity, we are already performing as devotee, and then of course avoiding the sinful activities, no illicit sex, no drinking, smoking and so on. So that is already an austerity, and then getting up every day early in the morning, and we should only eat Krishna prasadam. These are austerities, but sometimes we do this, but then still, then we take prasad, but then sometimes it is very opulent, and if you do that every day, and then one can still be attached to than just waiting for the prasadam and eating nice foodstuff. So therefore during the Chaturmas, or at least Kartik Mas, we should do some austerity, and that is purifying even the great souls, as it is mentioned here by Krishna. And not only the grihasthas, but also the sannyasis and the brahmacharis and vanaprasthis, they also have to do this. That that is for all following Varna and Ashram, that is for all Vaishnavas, that specifically also Sanatana Goswami has explained, that everyone has to follow that. And then, and of course for householders sometimes it may be more difficult, but if one is doing, then one will get purified. And therefore the householders, they have to do some tapasya also. Although household life, it may be some license of sense purification, but one has to be restricted there also. And one has to follow also the rules and regulations of Varna ashram, and austerity has to be done in regards to eating, and of course even so license is there for sex life, but that has to be controlled. If one wants to have a child, then that has to be performed by taking the blessings of the Gurujan, the seniors, and then one should do an appropriate time, and there should be once in a month in order to beget the child. So there austerity is there, otherwise there should be no sex life, so the instruction is there. And even usually, mostly then those who are strict in that sense, they will not even do Garbhadan Samskar during Chaturmas, and certainly never doing Kartik or Puruṣottamas. So in this way then some guidelines are given there in the scriptures of tapasya for all members of society, and specifically also for householders. And even, for example, householders, it is actually their duty, they should give charity to others. Even Prabhupada has explained, and one time one devotee got married and asked Prabhupada, so now what is my duty as a married man? And then he said, before you eat, so your wife will cook, you will offer to the Lord, and before you eat, you go out of the house and you call, if anybody is hungry, you come and eat. So that is a kind of tapasya also. So you're not thinking only about yourself, but you think about others first, and then you will honor prasadam. So, and even traditionally, you can see even here now in Braj, you still see on Dvadashi, the sannyasis or brahmacharis, they will go to the houses on Dvadashi, because on Ekadashi everyone is fasting, doing some austerity. And on Dvadashi actually, especially the householders, they should give in charity to others. You're fasting on Ekadashi from grains, and not taking any dal also, and that should be given in charity to others on Dvadashi, to the Lord or to the sannyasis. And even you can see now the custom is there amongst the saintly persons. Even now in Vrindavan sometimes you see on Dvadashi doing kirtan, and they go to the houses of the householders, the mendicants, and then they will give in charity, because that is the custom. And then they become purified in existence. And so many examples are there in the Bhagavatam also, that should be done. So doing this kind of tapasya, as mentioned in the scriptures, in the mode of goodness. So small things are there which are helpful, and so we should try to know as much as possible. So therefore we are hearing also, so we should know, so we will know what to do and what not to do, what kind of tapasya to do. But most important is to be positively engaged in devotional activities. But we have to gain knowledge, jnana, and some austerity must to be there, vairagya. Jnana and vairagya has to be there, then bhakti will flourish. If you don't get knowledge, if you are not renounced, your bhakti will be not much. But you gain knowledge, and then on what to do, and and you gain knowledge about Krishna, what Krishna likes, and then you try to be detached from this world, vairagya. So that we have to know. And then, so all our endeavors should be directed towards Krishna. Okay? Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. So we have a little Mahaprasad, some burfi for all of you. Unless you took a vow not to take any sweets. Oh, it's hard, it's burfi.